Now let's go to the complex lipids. So your complex lipids are further divided to phospholipids and glycolipids. Okay, so when you say it's phospholipids, meaning that that lipid contains a phospho group or a phosphate group. Well, if you have a glycolipid, then you have a glyco sugar. So merong carbohydrate part. Okay, so let's go first to your phospholipids, specifically your glycerophospholipid. Okay, so your glycerophospholipids are also known as phosphoacyl glycerols. So the main function of this is as a component of your cell membranes. Okay, so your glycerophospholipid is a glycerol backbone, a phosphate group, and a lipid which has two fatty acids. So in this case, your the fatty acid in the second or dun sa gitnang fatty acid dun sa OH na yon ay always unsaturated, may double bond. So your yung first naman can be also saturated or unsaturated. That's why malalaman nyo talaga na your glycerophospholipids are components of your cell membranes. Also, your kaya siya phospho dahil may phosphate group. Okay, so this phosphate group is actually attached to the third carbon. Okay, and then that phosphate group is attached also to an alcohol. For in this case is your choline, hindi si Colin Garcia, ha. Okay, so si choline, which is an alcohol, okay, an amino alcohol, okay, attached to that phosphate group. Okay, so that this glycerophospholipid is what you call a lecithin. Okay, so some other examples of your glycerophospholipids are your cephalin and phosphatidyl inositol. So sa cephalin, yung alcohol group, okay, so actually nagkakaiba-iba lang naman sila halos ay dun sa alcohol group. So pagkang alcohol group mo sa glycerophospholipid ay ethanolamine, that's your cephalin. While pag inositol siya, that's what you call now your phosphatidyl inositol. Okay? So your phosphatidyl inositol and your cephalin are all again under the glycerophospholipid. Okay? Okay, so what again? The function of these glycerophospholipids are membrane components in cells. So remember that lipids or your fatty acids are amphipathic molecules. So what more is this glycerophospholipid? So bakit siya naging amphipathic din? So dahil dun sa phosphate group na yon, okay, ay mas naging polar yung head mo, kaya mas naging polar siya, at dalawa ngayon yung paa or dalawa ngayon yung non-polar part mo. Okay? So, meron kang polar part and non-polar part. That's why it's also amphipathic. Okay? So, kagaya nitong si lecithin nga, yung phosphatidylcholine. So, itong phospholipid na to, okay, will mag-a-attract siya with another phospholipid molecule. Okay, so yung tail na yon, yung buntot na yan or yung paa na yan, okay, of that hydrophobic part will attract another hydrophobic part. Okay, so forming just like this, so ang tawag na ngayon hanggang sa magdikit-dikit sila, ang tawag na doon ay lipid bilayer, particularly a phospholipid bilayer. So dalawang layer ng phospholipids. Okay, so that phospholipid bilayer will be the component or the main component of your cell membrane. Okay? Okay, so we will see at babalikan natin yan later on. Okay, yung phospholipid bilayer. Okay, so now we're done with your glycerophospholipid with the glycerol backbone. Okay, now let's go to the phospholipid with a sphingosine backbone. Okay, your sphingolipids. Okay, your sphingolipid, the backbone, again, is your sphingosine. which is an 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a long chain hydrocarbon with a double bond and side chains of 2 OH and an amino group or an amine. Okay, so particularly marami to sa ating nervous system, sa utak, sa mga nerve cells, okay? So one example of your sphingolipid is your ceramide, which is your another fatty acid is linked to the amino group via ay amide bond. So itong nitrogen dito, okay, may mag-attach dyan na fatty acid, for example, stearic acid, oleic acid, okay, and then same pa rin na OH, saka itong long chain, carbon chain na yan. So, ang tawag ngayon dyan, yung fatty acid na yon na naka-attach dun sa nitrogen na yon, and this ceramide backbone is your ceramide nga, which is an N-acyl sphingosine. Okay? Another example is your sphingomyelin. Okay? Your sphingomyelin, okay, ang nangyayari naman dyan, ang OH naman na yon, yung nasa dulong yon, ang magkakaroon ng ng phosphate group. Okay? So, sphingophospholipid na siya na may amino alcohol pa rin. So, ganun pa rin, ceramide pa rin siya, may fatty acid pa rin siya. Tapos yun nga, may phospholipid lang. So, nag-combine na lang yung lahat ng yan, yung phosphate na yan, yung sphingosine yan, forming your sphingomyelin. So, again, this can be seen mostly on your nerve cells. So, your nerve cells are also called your neurons, okay? So, your sphingomyelin, okay, can be seen most likely in this myelin sheath, okay? Your myelin sheath, yan yung nagproprotekta dun sa ating nerve cells para yung nerve cells yung kasi yung ng impulse ng pag-recognize ng mga signals na nahawakan natin. Halimbawa, siya yung magsesend ng information sa ating brain. Okay? So your myelin sheath, okay, protects those neuron cells or nerve cells from damage. Okay? So that's why importante ang sphingomyelin, importante ang sphingolipid. Okay, so now we're done with your sphingolipids, your phospholipids. Now let's go to your glycolipids. So this, again, from the word itself, ay may carbohydrate, yung glyco. Okay, so pinag-combine na natin ang carbohydrate at lipid. So, one good example niyan is your cerebroside. Your cerebroside has a sphingosine backbone. Sphingosine pa rin siya, guys, okay, instead of glycerol. So, don't worry, you don't have to memorize the backbone of your the structure of sphingosine or any structure here. Okay? So, your cerebroside is a ceramide. Okay? So, ceramide, alam natin yung ceramide na yan, plus a glucose or a glucose molecule. Okay? Or in the case, pwede rin siyang maging galactose forming a galactocerebroside. So, it's also found in your nerve and brain cells. Okay? So, importante yan. So, cerebroside. So, kaya nga itong si Professor X, diba? Okay? Kaya meron siya tinawag na cerebro. Okay? Kung saan nakikita niya yung other mutants dun sa other parts of the world because nakokonekta nga siya. Okay? So, your cerebroside is mainly siguro kaya galing yung pangalan na cerebro ni Professor X, cerebroside. Okay? So, let's move on. So, now we're done with your simple and complex lipids. Now, let's go to the third lipid, okay, class of lipids, which is your steroids. Okay? Your steroids is a general class of molecules. So, it has 3 cyclohexane ring. So, cyclohexane, so ring yan na hex, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so para yung piato. So, tatlong cyclohexane plus a cyclopentane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pent. Okay, so tatlong ring, 4 na ring, 3 doon ay cyclohexane, and isa doon ay cyclopentane, the ring D. So, one of the ang point of discussion na gusto kong i-highlight is your the most abundant steroids in our body, which is your cholesterol. Okay, so cholesterol are also important. Okay? So it's a component of cell membrane, and it's also act as a messenger. Okay? So that's one of the functions, diba, of your lipids. Okay. So it's also, your cholesterol is a raw material for the synthesis of other steroid molecules such as your bile salts, your sex hormones such as your progesterone, androgen, and estrogen. Okay, so let's go to your cholesterol. So, ayan, makikita nyo yung tatlong cyclohexane ring na may cyclopentane ring, tapos may mga nakakabit na alkyl groups and an OH, tsaka may double bond. Okay? So, your cholesterol is medyo may bad reputation yan because nakaka-high blood, mataas ang cholesterol, ganyan-ganyan. But you know guys, cholesterol are important at essential sa ating buhay. Okay? So may structural role siya at may messenger roles. Okay? So your cholesterol, actually our body also produces its own cholesterol. So it is manufactured or made in our liver. Okay, so regulated ang paggawa ng cholesterol, okay? So there's a misconception guys that eating too much cholesterol containing food causes high cholesterol levels. Okay? So lalo yan sa itlog, 'di ba? Sasabihin ay mataas ang cholesterol niyan. But hindi guys, kakaunti lang 'yan. Actually, ang nakakapagpataas pa ng cholesterol ay yung langis, lalo yung trans fat, okay? Na makikita sa mga hindi kagandahan at mga hydrogenated vegetable oils, di ba? As we saw that kanina. Okay. So there are good and bad cholesterols as I said. So your good and bad cholesterols, ano nga ba 'yon? So your lipoproteins, okay? So lipid plus protein molecule. Okay. So, this lipoprotein, okay, pinag-combine ng lipid at protein are transporter or carrier of cholesterols in our body. So, messenger siya ng cholesterol, pataga-deliver ng cholesterol dahil kailangan nga yan ng ating katawan. So, there are two types, the high-density lipoprotein or the HDL and the LDL or low-density lipoprotein. So, as a general rule, HDL is considered the good cholesterol while LDL is the bad cholesterol. Bakit? Because HDL carries back the cholesterol to our liver. So, doon sa, yun nga, dahil siya ang liver, yung atay natin, ang nagre-regulate ng cholesterol level sa ating katawan. Whereas, if that LDL, ang ginagawa niya, dinedeposit niya yung cholesterol dun sa mga arteries o dun sa mga ugat ng ating katawan. That's why it can build up at bumabara, nagkaklag, causing atherosclerosis, okay, o yung atake sa puso nga. Okay, so blood test can measure the HDL, LDL, and total cholesterol on your blood. So, there are ways to decrease your LDL and increase your HDL, the good cholesterol, by just eating a heart-healthy diet, low in saturated, tsaka trans fat. Okay, so that's important. Regular exercise and being more physically active. So tandaan yan. And maintaining a healthy weight. Of course, smoking. Of course, wala yang nagagawang mabuti sa iyong katawan. Talagang patataasin pa niya ng LDL, okay? So if you quit smoking and then thus you will increase the good cholesterol and decrease the bad cholesterol. And of course, some medications. So these medications is binibigay lang yan under the prescription of doctor. So hindi ko nasasabihin kung ano-ano yung mga medications na yun to lower your LDL and to increase that HDL because I'm not a doctor. Alright? So just eat the heart-healthy foods, low in fat, okay? Regular exercise, okay? And quit smoking. Okay? So, asan pa kaya narinig yung steroids? Itong sa bodybuilding, okay? Dahil yung ibang athletes, ibang bodybuilders ay nagtuturok ng tinatawag na anabolic steroids which increases the body's ability to prevent muscle breakdown and increase the para magkaroon nga ng muscle. Okay? So, it's similar to testosterone but it has side effects. Okay? Kagaya ng impotence, reduced testicle size, tsaka kaya mahirap siya. At mayroon pala siyang side effects na bad. Kaya, hindi na pinapayagan na magturok ng anabolic steroids to build up muscles. Okay? So, iba na ang ginagawa. So, they intake proteins. Okay? We will see that on our next videos. Alright. So, let's go to the last topic, which is the role of all of these lipids in the membranes or the cell membranes. So remember again that your cell membrane or your cell wall is the pang-protekta or yung bumabalot sa buong sa lahat ng organelles at cytoplasm inside your cells. So we have reviewed that on your module 1, right? So again, as we saw a while ago, your phospholipids, okay, is actually formed a phospholipid bilayer forming your cell membrane because of the phosphate group and the glycerol backbone. That's why it has a polar head, okay, and then the non-polar tail, which is the fatty acid sides. Okay, so dalawang buntot tapos isang head. Okay, so actually the cell membrane has this what you call your fluid mosaic model. Okay, so it's fluid because yun nga of that the one of the two fatty acid tails contains your unsaturated fatty acids, and we know that your unsaturated fatty acids are mostly liquid. So fluid, so merong fluidity na nangyayari, may liquid. Okay, that's why. Okay, so fluid and then mosaic. So alam naman natin ang mosaic, kaganyang yung artwork na panda na yan na nasa tabi, nasa corner. So mosaic yan guys. So ang mosaic kasi guys may parang batik-batik. Okay? So may patsi-patsi yan. So ganoon din dito sa cell membrane. Okay? So may patsi-patsi din yan. Ano yung patsi-patsi yun? So merong cholesterol. Okay? So yung cholesterol also plays a role in the cell membrane sa fluid mosaic model. Most importantly, it provides rigidity or pagpatigas. Okay, so hindi lang kaya fluid siya, alam natin yun, but of course they need some solid part o may pangpatibay pa rin yan. So the pampatibay for that fluid structure or fluid property of that cell membrane is because of the cholesterol, of that steroid molecule. Okay? Another patsi-patsi or another molecules na makikita dito besides that cholesterol and is your proteins. Okay? So your proteins enables other molecules na mag-pass through. Okay? So meron yang integral proteins and transmembrane proteins. Okay? So kasi hindi lahat ng molecules ay makakapass through dito. Diba? Kagaya ng virus, diba? Yung pinag-usapan natin last time, hindi yan basta-basta makakapasok sa ating cells. So paano nga ba nag-attach ang SARS-CoV-2 sa ating cells? Through acetyl receptors, okay? Yung acetylcholinesterase receptors. So those receptors are just like this. So naka-protrude or nandyan yan siya sa cells, sa cell membrane, okay? So yung mga cell membrane, yung receptors na yun yung kakapitan ni virus. At doon mag-fuse yan at para makapasok inside the cells and magparami sila at mag-replicate that virus cells. Okay? So importante na yan ding proteins na yan sa pag-excrete ng mga byproducts ng cell ng biochemical reactions at yung mga kailangan din kagaya ng glucose, kailangan yan, di ba? So as we saw from module 5 that your glucose is metabolized. Okay, so from the glucose that we ate, okay, so some kanin, so yung starch doon naging glucose. So that glucose will papasok yan sa inside our cells through those transmembrane proteins, okay, or the peripheral proteins. So yan ay papasok through that Okay, so again, hindi lahat ay nakakapasok. So merong through your proteins, meron ding diffusion na tinatawag na active at passive diffusion. Okay, so iba pang patsi-patsi na makikita dito, yung glycoprotein. So yung protina na yun, yan yung mga receptor na yun, pero pwedeng magkaroon ng carbohydrate chains na naka-attach. So ang tawag doon ay glycoprotein. Kanina nakita natin yung glycolipids, right? So meron ding glycolipids, ayan. Okay, so hindi lang siya yung sa brain cells, di ba, yung cerebrocyte natin, that's a glycolipid, or your galactocerebrocyte. So they are also seen in the cell membranes. Okay, so those are the importance and the role of lipids in the membranes in our body as a storage molecule. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you had learned something and it's also very clear to you. Thank you.